Hello everybody and welcome to the main event 170. And the topic today is Brian Sykes talking about, are we there yet? He and his wife Trish have got a 3-year plan that we're going to hear about, but we're also going to hear about his latest book. So we'll be talking to Brian shortly. First, I want to go over the AI news for this week. There's always a bunch of stuff, so I like to just touch base on these things. All of these things are posted in the comments section of today's event. Certainly welcome to take a look at those. I'll just briefly mention what they are. Lisa Dion posted something today using Image Art Fashion Studio. Kind of a fun little video that she put together with it. Nicely done, and shows capabilities of what you're able to do with Fashion Studio. The next post is FAL AI, F-A-L. Just introduced 3D Real, now open source, a render to real IC LoRa for LTX 2.3, and it turns any 3D or CG or game render into photorealistic film quality video. Google Studio introduced design variations to reduce prompting and speed up choices. So I guess you're given some design choices to select from in addition to whatever you want to program into it. A couple people posted about this, a killer zoom in prompt for CDance 2.0. This is a continuous zoom in starting from outer space looking at Earth and then zooming in and going through the atmosphere, going through clouds, going through the streets of city, and end up with a guy standing with a skateboard by a skateboard park. This is one continuous zoom, but it's a 12-part prompt. Thought that was well worth taking a look at to see how that was done. The one thing about this type of thing that always gets me is it's an interesting demonstration of the program capabilities, but it's not exactly storytelling. And I guess it's a matter of, do you find a way of creating a zoom like this that aids in the story that you're trying to tell? GPT 5.6 models previewed for trusted partners. OpenAI posted on the topic, and they're introducing GPT 5.6 SOL, S-O-L, their next generation frontier model, as well as GPT 5.6 Terra, a balanced model for effective everyday work, and GPT 5.6 Luma, a fast and affordable model. Magnificent VFX is here. Drop in your image, pick your effect and camera movement, hit generate, and you've got your video. I posted about a site on LinkedIn, Dream Machine, Creative AI News and Insights. This is a great source for AI news. Just issued their 36th issue, so I thought it would be good if you wanted to look at more AI news than the few things that I post here. This is a great source to turn to. Higgsfield Omni video editing capabilities, another post there to take a look at. CDance 2.0 Mini is now available in Luma. Bring it your boldest ideas and watch it move, generate fast, refine in the same canvas, and take your concept from spark finish. Finally, a post about restoring old photos and creating new memories in Firefly. They literally show taking an old black and white photo, converting it to color, and then putting the same people in a more highly refined, realistic render, creating a new scene for them to be in, change the lighting, change the time of day. All of this sort of thing is posted there by our friend Eugenio Ferrero, and well worth taking a look at as well. So those are my news items. The last one being about Firefly is convenient, since we're going to be talking to Brian about his new book about Firefly. Very happy to have you here today, my old friend Brian Sykes. We have been in this game together from the beginning of of Midjourney, and if I calculate right, this is the ninth book that you've written, but that's kind of a misnomer because your original book you have revised a number of times. So
Yeah.
I think it really qualifies for more than nine books that you've done. Yeah.
I'll just count it as nine since yeah, the first one I rewrote just a couple months after releasing it because Midjourney, of course, came out with version 4. Um, and then, then it's kind of like chasing the thing. Do we want to keep updating every single time? And it kind of became there's too many other platforms and things happening. So this has been the nature of trying to teach in this space of where do we want to focus our time and attention? As you're pointing out, all these different new things that are happening in AI right now. This is the daily. Every day, we've got a whole new
Oh,
list
yeah.
of things to pay attention to. So,
Well, that's the same thing we dealt with the one-word prompt book together. You
yes,
know, I mean,
yeah,
we were ready to release it with 4.0, and they came out with 5, and so we ended up with what, a book that was over 300 pages with
yes,
all the all the stuff that we put in, covering both 4 and 5. But what's interesting to me about that book is even though we're dealing with much more conversational prompting, the knowledge of what these individual words do is still relevant. You know, it's still worth
yes,
taking a look at because uh, it creates, you know, as we were pointing out, uh, using one word prompts helps you to understand what that word does when you put it into a longer prompt. So,
right.
but before we get into your book, we got to talk about what you and your wife Trish are doing that, frankly, most of us don't have the nerve to do. Uh, um,
It's an adventure for sure.
you've been planning this for a while to do a 3-year trip around the United States,
Yeah.
staying a month in various towns, and then deciding where is it that you want to end up being. Now, I got to ask you a question about this. Now, I know you've got kids, and I know you've got some you just visited over in Germany. My wife, I mean, I at one time was very interested in having an artist's life living in Santa Fe, New Mexico. My wife said, you know, if we live in Santa Fe, New Mexico, we're only going to get to see our kids maybe once every 5 years or so. We're in the east. Our closest son is an hour and a half away. The furthest one, we're in south central Pennsylvania. The furthest away is up in Boston. We've got one up in Burlington, Vermont. We still get to see them more frequently than every 5 years, although I think it's been
Right.
about every 5 years or so that we get the whole family together at one time. We were together for our 50th wedding anniversary 8 years ago, and then we were all together for my 80th birthday party 2 years ago. Other than that, yeah, you get to chat on the computer, or you get to talk on the phone. They do come and visit, and we've certainly had a lot of help when we've needed it from the boys because of physical problems that Judy has had that has required some changing of furniture around a bit and making things, you know, more comfortable for her.
Right.
But anyway, the reason I'm bringing that up is because where are your kids, and you know, why are you willing to settle in some place, you know, 3,000 miles across the country from where your kids are?
Great question. Yeah, between my wife and I, we have 8 kids, and so there's a whole passel of them. Uh, Living where I've been for the past 6.5 years, actually more than that. I've lived in Moore County or Southern Pines, North Carolina, since 1997. I grew up in Hillsborough, North Carolina, so pretty much have lived in the state my entire life except for college. I went to college in Florida. And so my wife, she had actually traveled quite a bit prior to us meeting. And when we were beginning to think about, okay, so once our youngest graduates from high school and begins his life, what are we going to do? Where are we going to go? And oh, hey, nice, Linda, Chapel Hill. I grew up not far from there. So yeah, we began looking at where do we want to go, and we had begun traveling a little bit together. We had experienced San Antonio, Texas, and Austin area, and we're like, this is lovely. And then we'd go to Salt Lake City, and we're like, this is fantastic. And everywhere we went, there was a potential of I could see living there. And so we knew we wanted to move, but where we weren't sure. And so we began like, how are we going to know when we're there? And that was kind of this crazy conversation we had. Um, and instead of just picking a place and beginning to live there, we thought, why not make it a little more extended? We can just go live in an area for a month or so at a time, get to meet the people in the community, see if it fits our life. And because our kids are literally all across the country and one over in Europe, we already were traveling to see them to begin with for the most part. It just kind of made sense to leave it wide open and explore. And then with the freedom of the way our lives are set up now, we're debt free. We no longer have a home. We are couch surfing at our daughter's house in Sanford, North Carolina. Um, and so that's just for a couple days. We actually leave tomorrow for Denver, Colorado. So this is the nature of life at the moment. Is it's a lot of hopping around to see our kids before we set on this month at a time travel destination. But yeah, life will travel with us. Once we begin our official first month stay, that'll be in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we'll be there the month of August. We move from there to Cincinnati in September. We'll be in St. Louis in October. We'll be in Oklahoma City in November and Denver, Colorado in December. So that's kind of the plan for the rest of this year. We've kind of roughly mapped out 3 years, and we've realized 3 years isn't going to cover it. It's not going to fit all the things, all the places we want to go. And after going to Europe for the last 2 weeks, we kind of think we might need to extend and go visit and spend more time there as well. Surprisingly, it cost us the same amount to live in all these other places as what we've been paying for rent for the past 6.5 years. So rent plus utilities and other things, we've got the freedom now to just go live in these other places.
That's terrific. Um, One of the things that was crossing my mind was whether you want to see what it's like to be in Phoenix, Arizona, in the middle of summer, giving the hot temperatures that they get there. But you know what?
Right.
Like we were just talking before we started, it's going to be 101 here today, and it was 103 there yesterday.
Yes.
So, is there any place where you can escape the heat other than in an air-conditioned house? You know.
After being in Europe for 2 weeks, not having air conditioning there, Guido, I feel for you, man. Uh, I mean, when you go to places and air conditioning's not the standard, it's really kind of the exception to the norm. You kind of get used to it. Having fans and going to bed a little bit later, it was survivable. I enjoyed just being able to travel and see things. We were in Paris and it was 100 degrees in Paris. And so much so that Paris basically said, we're shutting down the trains for the rest of the day. Figure out another way to get home. So, stuck in Paris, we had to rent a Hertz to drive 6 hours to get close to the border so my son could drive down and pick us up. So it's just kind of like you deal with what's in front of you.
Yeah. And from what I've gathered from various things I've seen you posting and everything, Trish is 100% behind this whole idea.
Yeah. Yeah, we're fully into this together. And it's actually, once we started down this path, it was about 3 years ago, we began talking about it and contemplating it. Um, the closer we got to boxing things up, putting it in storage, getting rid of things that if we're not going to be excited to see 3 years from now, then we got rid of it. So in our storage building, it's very narrowed down to just important things, things that are mementos and truly valuable to us. Everything else, our life living is going to be in our car, in boxes. Trish is very organized. So we've got boxes that are, winter clothes, um, electronics, hair care, body care, whatever. Everything's very streamlined. And so I can say, hey, Trish, where's that? And she can go find it in 5 seconds. So she's so excited about that because everything's actually really easy to put your hands on. Everything has a home. But yeah, no, this is really exciting for the both of us. And now that we're in the middle of doing it, it's like we couldn't imagine not doing it.
One of the things that I saw, and I don't know if everybody had a chance to see it, but I saw the old flatbed trailer that you got and have converted it into your living vehicle.
Well, it's actually not going to be our living vehicle. This was my wife's father passed away a year ago, and it was a 10-foot flatbed trailer, and we converted it to a pull behind camper, and it was a gift for my son Wesley, the youngest. He loves to camp, and so it was supposed to be a project we were going to do together.
FaceTime video.
And life just kind of got in the way. It was his senior year. He had a capital senior year. For football, they went to states. They won the regional. For wrestling, he placed first in the 190-pound category. Went to states for that and came in fourth overall for the state. So like everything that could happen great for him has been happening. Um, so this is kind of, yeah, we're just kind of experiencing everything in flow. And so I put together a trailer, and being true to Brian Sykes, I decided to knock it out with 4 weeks until we had to leave. And it turned out really nice.
I found it interesting what you were able to do because literally you started with junk, you know,
Yes.
and were able to repair it and put it together. Um, so you're when you're traveling, are you planning on like renting a home or
Yeah. So
doing that sort of a thing? Uh,
yeah. So with Airbnb, if you stay 28 days or longer, the price drops tremendously. There's also extended stay and um, several other sites that allow you to do home locations and rent. So we're going to stay at a minimum of 4 weeks, up to 6 weeks at a time, typically. Um, we're going to finish this year where we're staying 4 weeks at a time, so basically a month. But we've realized because of travel on the front and the back side of that time, we're going to need a little bit more. So next year, we're actually going to expand it to 6 weeks per location. That gives us more time to really, because we're still working from remote. Um, it gives us more time on the weekends to really go explore the area and kind of get to meet and know more people while we're there.
So that was another thing I wanted to bring up. You're both going to continue to be working,
Yeah,
and for the next 3 years, Brian Sykes is not going to disappear.
correct.
He will be his ever-present self on LinkedIn and other places.
Yeah,
Uh,
and this is one of the things that was, it wasn't original a thought of putting out there that I was going to be traveling publicly. Because the AI lab and what I do with that is I do consulting, I do keynotes and intensives, workshops and things. And I thought it was a perfect overlap that as I go to different locations, to put it out there to the Chamber of Commerce and local businesses, that I would be in location, and to that's actually opening up some opportunities where while I'm there to go ahead and press in and be an asset to the community. So one of the things we're adding to that is I'm going to be doing Tuesday coffees in each of the locations I'm at. So try it every Tuesday. Grab coffee with those who want to join me, and we can talk shop, whether it's AI or creativity. And it's like LinkedIn, but really, really live. I'll literally get to meet with the people who live in and near that area. So it's really quite cool because I'm already lined up in Knoxville to be on a podcast with a local Knoxville uh, podcaster, and I've got several things that are opening up in Cincinnati. So I'm really excited to see what's kind of opening up in front of us.
that's great. One of the things that I have mentioned to you in texting, because of the fact that you're doing something that most people would love to do, but don't have the guts to do it.
Yeah.
Um, I think you have an excellent PBS TV show, and my recommendation is to begin with talking on your phone. Do it horizontal, so it
Oh yeah.
fits so it fits a TV screen. Because I think what you need to do is when you get some of these, some of the 2 or 3 months of this traveling going, take what you've put together and send it off to PBS and see if they're interested in putting together a show because this is some people's dream come true to be able to do something like this, and I think
Well, I
there'd be
think,
a
yeah.
lot of interest in it. And I frankly think you have the capability of doing a show that is handheld selfie kind of a show. It doesn't have to have a production crew to go along with you to be doing this because you know what you're doing and you know what you want to say and you're good at speaking and at spur of the moment and so really I suggest you give serious thought to the possibility. I don't think it makes any more work for you than what you're already planning. I think
I know.
if
I
they
stay
write
so
it,
busy. Yeah, it
yeah,
would be just another flow with everything else I'm doing. It would be. I didn't even mention I've got another book underway, and this is part of the human element that I've been talking about for the past 2 or 3 years now. So yeah, I like to stay busy, and uh, for a lot of you guys that are creatives, you learn how to do a little bit of everything, and so it would fit perfectly. I'm already doing the video editing and recording and such. Wouldn't be that hard to kind of add that to what I'm already doing.
yeah, it's fascinating. It truly is fascinating, and I think it would be quite an audience for it because they watch the guy that travels around Europe and there's different programs where they're talking about what's going on in Virginia, for example, or whatever. I mean, there's just a variety of these types of things. But this is a gutsy experience, something that is quite unique and I think would really attract a good audience. So just something to do and maybe
Yeah,
help pay for part of your travel.
it might be worth looking into. It's a fun adventure, and it's definitely created a lot of interesting conversations. And actually, I'm open with anybody in the group here that's following along. If you guys have questions on what we're doing and how we're doing it, I'm more than thrilled to answer anything you want to pass this way. Um, Mentioning what you started with on the book side of things. Um, if you're in the Zoom meeting and you scroll to the very top, I've put links in there that can be an asset to you. You can follow my YouTube channels. I've got two. The Are We There Yet Sykes, which is our travel. The Brian Sykes, which is where I post and need to post more frequently the AI lab video stuff, where my goal is to try to do one of those a week, coming up pretty soon, because I want to begin putting out things out there where people can get something practical, like here's a simple step through, and it's basically a chance to play with the tool and learn more about it. There's two Substacks, the AI Lab and the Are We There Yet Substacks. And anybody that I sign up today, I'll go ahead and extend for you 3 months for free on both of those. And you guys can just kind of explore and follow along with us. And at the very top is the AI Lab Adobe Firefly Back to Basics book. And this is the one that I released May 15th. It is a truly fresh perspective on how to think about using AI. Al, I gave you a copy. Guido, I think I've given you a copy. Um, I really want people who are creatives to look through this in a different way because it's not just here's how the tool works. It's more how to approach AI from a creative perspective and come away with how do you problem solve creatively with AI. So there's a lot of things in that I think could be a huge asset to you guys.
I've got the
Uh,
table of contents up in front of me, and one of the things early on in the first part of the book is why Adobe Firefly, and I wanted to ask you that. Why did you decide to do a book on Adobe Firefly?
I go into more depth there, but really the focus is, Adobe has been really the leading platform when it came to creative creation for the industry for so many years, whether it's Photoshop, Illustrator, uh, once you go into deeper fields like InDesign, After Effects, um, there's so many tools that are just part of our repertoire. It's what I grew up on. And for a lot of creatives that's my age, when we came along, desktop publishing was just hitting the ground. So this is in the 90s when you're starting to see, at the time, it was Photoshop, Freehand, PageMaker, and these things were kind of changing the world. I was an Adobe certified instructor back in the 90s, uh, carrying over into the 2000s. In my very first classes I was teaching, I was literally teaching people how to pick up a mouse and move it to engage with a computer. Uh, and the things we were seeing happen in that space, we're seeing that multiplied when it comes to AI, because it's this whole new way of thinking and a whole new way of engaging. And the thing that I've really been pushing on, this is where my next book's coming out, is how to define what the human in the loop is all about, how they show up and what they do creatively to problem solve. I do not advocate for AI replacing the human, or finding ways to get out of doing the creative work. I want to show how we as people truly become the problem solvers, and we're the most valuable piece to this puzzle called AI.
I haven't put it on LinkedIn yet. I was waiting until the holiday weekend was over, but I have put it on YouTube and on TikTok. I put together a video about my photo retouching, and one of the things, the first thing I say in the thing is that Adobe has put some fantastic AI capabilities into our hands, but the issue is still whose hands are using them. And
Right.
my point in my history is, yeah, you're talking about early days. I started in '94 with version 2 of Photoshop that did not have layers,
Right.
and it was slow. And if you needed to change something, you had to erase it, um, and then start over again. But it was duplicating digitally what I had previously done years before uh, Photoshop, in doing traditional photo retouching with airbrush, and using paints if you're working on prints, if you're working on dye transfers using bleach and dye. I was doing all that stuff literally back in the 70s. And so I have all of that behind me. Another important part of this whole thing is getting into the mind of the client, understanding
Yes.
what they're looking for, and I have seen this multiple times where what I do is I ask questions. You know, I see something in the picture that to me is a distraction from the point that they're trying to communicate. Do you want this to be removed? An
Right.
inexperienced retoucher, because you haven't mentioned it, assumes you must want it there, so they leave it. That's the difference between, having somebody who has years of experience, obsessive compulsive person who pays attention to every square inch of everything that I
Right.
produce, you know. But I'm going to be posting that, and it's got a fun little musical pseudo song in the background too. So I'll be posting that. But I'm mentioning this because of exactly what you're talking about. The human element is still the most important thing.
Hmm.
Effects are wonderful, but if they don't communicate what you need to communicate, they're just effects.
Right.
Well, I think it'd be good if we opened up the floor to ask people if they'd like to ask you questions about where you're traveling, and I will just stick this in that I've already said this to you, but when you are coming over towards central Pennsylvania and are interested in looking at Lancaster County, which I highly recommend, by the way. Well, even though I live in York, I lived in Lancaster for 5.5 years. When you're over this way, the door is open to you, Brian.
Well,
So,
thank you.
anybody else want to make any comments or ask questions about this life adventure that Trish and Brian are going on.
And I'll open that up also to AI questions as well. So, feel free to engage, whether it's creative or travel. I'm wide open.
Yeah, I have a question. Brian, pleasure to meet you. I'm
Thanks, Mark.
Mark, and I guess first thing is, are you traveling with pets? Cats, dogs?
Yes. Yeah, we have
Oh,
a mini schnauzer, and he's actually a fantastic traveler. But if you know the breed, schnauzers are very specific. In other words, they love a routine. And if I'll have to share my Instagram account because if we go back to the beginning of this process of moving things around, the dog was getting totally stressed out with he knew things were happening and he couldn't make sense of it. We're boxing things up and moving them out of the house, and he was just kind of like, okay, I'm freaking out. Um, and so, yeah, this is one part that makes it interesting because, of course, when we're picking places to stay, we have to expand that to include only those that will accept pets. So he's a little guy. He does like to ride, likes to travel, and he's well tempered. But it is kind of mixing up his life a little bit. We're staying currently with my wife's daughter, Fletcher, and there's two cats and a dog here. He's getting along royally with them, but at the same time, he's used to kind of having the run of the roost. So it's an interesting dynamic.
yeah, that's cute. We've traveled with cats and dogs before, and yeah, we would stay in extended stay Americas because they allow pets and
Yeah,
Airbnbs. Yeah, you have to find the ones that will do that as well.
right.
So that's awesome. Also, I'm in Evergreen, which is southeast of Denver, about 30 miles. I was curious what you're going to be doing in Denver over
Right.
probably the
Okay.
weekend.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be in Denver for the better part of December and rolling into January. We've got a daughter that lives in Denver, and while we're there, we're actually going to have all of our kids come be with us for Christmas break. So that'll be a fun time. And this is kind of how we're doing that. Um, seeing all the kids. They are not all coming at the same time because of their own schedules, but we'll get to see all the kids then. In Denver, yeah, I don't have everything nailed down as far as what all we'll be doing, but if you're close enough, I'd love to grab coffee with you.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I'll be following, and I'll pay extra close attention in the December timeframe.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, Mark, didn't
So
you say you're about 35 minutes outside of Denver?
yeah, we're about 25, 30 miles southeast of Denver. So it's probably about, depending what part of Denver. Denver's a big area.
It's in a
Yeah.
beautiful,
We're
beautiful.
45 minutes away-ish, but we go in and out of down to Denver all the time.
I think we're
Beautiful.
in what's Cherry Grove area, or something like that. That's
Cherry
in
Creek.
Denver. Yeah, Cherry Creek.
Yeah, that's pretty, it's kind of south and central. So that's a really,
Yeah,
it's a big area, but it's actually pretty nice. Yeah, that's great.
yeah.
Yeah, Mark's right in the foothills of the Rockies there. This beautiful, beautiful area.
I know you're probably dealing with all the smoke and stuff from the fires and stuff.
Yeah, it's in the air, and we've it's been going on for weeks. It's not as we were in California in the Berkeley area when there was the fires there probably about 6 or 7 years ago. It was like
Yeah,
ash. It was like snowing on the car. It was ash. It was so bad, but it's not as bad as that. It is here,
right.
but you can sense it.
Yeah. And I know, Coach, you guys have had a dry season for sure.
We were
Our
in a
daughter was
drought.
telling us that. Yeah.
Yeah, we were out watering our garden this morning, but it's a pretty bad drought this year.
This is one of the things I think for me that I'm finding interesting is because we're going to be traveling, we're really trying to pay attention to what's happening in areas that we're going to. And it's one of the things I realize that I haven't really done as a person is I'm not as dialed in to what's happening outside of my neighborhood because it's just not touching me in the same way. But being on the road and looking ahead, it's really made me pay attention more globally.
My suggestion is on your weather app on your phone to put in the various cities that you're planning on visiting so you can go through their daily weather report too.
I have been, yeah, that's actually really good. And I know my next month is just going to be insane hot. That's just what we're dealing with. But I'm looking forward to the weather cooling off as we get into the fall and winter.
Anyone else have a question or comment? That's
Hey,
Glenn.
Glenn.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Glenn.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Of course,
Any
I've just
chance?
seen your name.
Oh, yeah. Any chance you're going to be in the New York City area?
As we're rolling out, our focus is going to get us across the country or midway. Denver, of course, is as far as we're going initially. Then we're going to turn around and come back because my son Matthew is getting married next May. So we're kind of launching, coming back, going to a wedding, and then heading back across country. Around 2019, we'll be in California, or excuse me, 2029, we'll be in California. And then we're going to roll back probably across the northern part of America and making our way through the eastern side of the country. So eventually, late 2029 and 2030, we should be in the New York, New England area.
Eh, That's a little bit out there, but
I know.
hopefully we'll cross paths. Are you going to keep teaching the classes?
Yes, I'm going to continue. So as I travel, I'm looking to do workshops and keynotes and intensives in each of the states that I'm going to be in. So I'm hoping to have more opportunities to do that where I can truly be an asset as we're traveling. And as mentioned, I'm writing another book. I plan on keeping my Substacks active and having opportunities to teach, as we continue going on.
Well, best of luck.
Thank you, Glenn.
Linda?
Well, I just wanted to say, Brian, if I had known you were so close, I would have met you already. It's wonderful to have another person in North Carolina so involved in AI.
Yeah, I've been pretty active or trying to be very active in the AI space. And it's funny because I've tried hard to be an asset here in North Carolina, and most of my impact seems to be everywhere else. And so that's okay. I'll have to leave before I really become valuable here in the state. I've had
It's like that thing where you have to die for your
I think
art to
so.
become.
But it's really interesting because I've had a number of colleges throughout the state of North Carolina reach out. They wanted to have me come speak, and I've spoken at a few. But it's always been interesting to me that I get far more engagement outside of the state of North Carolina than I do here locally. They had an AI panel in Moore County, North Carolina, right where I'm been a resident since 1997, and they didn't include me on the panel. I'm like, what the heck? But that's okay.
It's been really hard to find a community, for me at least. They
Yeah.
just started something called it's a group that meets regularly in Chapel Hill now. But even my daughter went to school in Asheville, and there's a lot of really negative feeling about AI. It's like I've even tried to reach out to some of the galleries out there, and boy, it's like slap your hand, man. Don't even.
It is, and this is a dynamic. Al and Guido, you guys might can recall a lot of the negative feelings around desktop publishing when it first came out. This is like all over again. This idea around AI stealing and robbing, and I understand. There's definitely some considerations you need to keep your mind open to of where there can be problems with AI. But it's here. It's like the cat's out of the bag. We're not going to stuff the thing back in. So I want people who have character and quality behind them, who are trying to do the right things with this stuff, to lead the way in the AI use. And again, this is where that human element book that I'm putting together on is to explain what's going on with this thing and how we can leverage it well.
Oh, that's brilliant. I'll have to get your book. I would love to read it.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to meet you as you're leaving. I'll watch it. I'll watch you travel all over the world. That's what we want to do as well, my husband and I. So
You
good
should
luck.
definitely do it. Definitely do it. I highly recommend it. No time like the present to just make it happen.
That's great. Take care.
Thank you.
You mentioned the desktop publishing. Overnight, typesetters went out of business.
Oh, yeah.
I had a neighbor who was a typesetter, and he came up to me and he said, "What am I going to do?" I said, "Learn how to operate a computer."
Yeah.
I
Most
mean,
definitely.
There will be, jobs that are going to be taken by AI. My biggest concern in terms of that is the the manual labor type of things that um, combined with AI and robotics, we're going to have fewer jobs for people who do not necessarily have the skills to be able to learn a different type of work. And,
Right.
and that's my biggest concern in that area. But, in terms of creative, it's not going to affect us one bit. It's just going to make our life more capable and somewhat faster, not necessarily faster, but it will certainly give us some opportunities. The biggest problem I have right now with AI is not my clients, but my clients' lawyers. You know,
Yeah.
I literally three different clients of one agency. One client, they do not want to use AI. Their lawyers do not want to have a chance that somebody's face is going to be stolen by AI and then they're going to get sued for using their face in an ad, which
Right.
says they have no idea how AI works.
Right.
Secondly, they have people who it's okay if you do it in AI as long as you make some modifications to it. And I've been asked to make a number of modifications to things. And how do I make those modifications? I use AI and Photoshop to make those changes.
Right.
And then the last one is, we don't care. Go ahead, use AI. It's that kind of a range, all within one
Yes.
agency's cadre of clients.
Yeah.
But still, I think there are issues about law. We should learn more about it because in the USA, United Kingdom, it's different than in Europe, and so the problem is real.
Yeah.
It's a problem that, for example, you won't have with Adobe because they have their own train stock and they
Right.
train. But the problem is that still you don't get those images that you have with Midjourney, with Nano Banana, and other stuff.
Right.
And more anyway, when I talk, I get shy because it's
You do fine.
I just wanted to say and underline that my first steps in AI, I took it with Brian 4 years ago, maybe
Yeah.
more than that. Yeah. And a lot of things have changed. On the beginning, there was more a sense of community, a restricted group of people. Now it's becoming spread, and we are submerged by marketeers and talks about automation, one click, one prompt, and you do everything with.
Right.
And it's so it's up and downs, no?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Really, I've been able to work, paid work with AI only this year.
Yeah.
I'm still working as a photographer. That's my higher incomes. But for me, it's like a long trip that goes back to analog visual images until now, because I integrate in my workflows also AI, and I can use like a model, and I photographed, and instead of generating. So it's I think it's a period of transition.
It is.
The
Definitely.
transition, it's not something that you know how long it's going to be, no?
Yeah.
So we get all kind of responses
Right.
and attitudes. What do you think about it? Like, and also one more question. So you are so inside Adobe. I wonder why they didn't go faster and deeper into AI.
Yeah, I
Uh,
feel like you're right on that. It seems almost like they were playing catch up instead of leading. And there was, I think, because they were not quite sure how AI was going to fit into the mix. I think
mm,
they were going to, it was going to be a tag on. It's sort of like they approached it as though it were a filter, like they did in Photoshop. You know, here's a cool little
mhm,
filter, it does this thing, but here's the tool as a whole. So I think that was kind of the approach that they've taken. Uh, I think they've realized because their market valuation has dropped tremendously, it's been majorly impacted, is they've not clearly defined how and why the value of Adobe is worth what it once was, especially with Canva coming to the table. And with Canva, not just Canva the tool, but they also bought several desktop publishing tools and made them freely available. They've embedded their own AI and they've taken a whole different stance on how they're approaching AI integration into the creative platform and workflow. And they brought in some really strong creative talent to lead the way in how to think with that. Adobe still has some old models and old mindsets, and it's really hard to shift when you've been driving so hard and fast in one direction and getting success to go, okay, I gotta turn the wheel because this is not going to work well. And I think this is where Adobe's wrestling. The tools that they've got right now and what they're doing are great. The book that I did, it's strong because it shows you what's possible. The problem is, I think they're so behind in communicating well what they're able to do that it's still complicated and convoluted. But from a creative professional standpoint, they it's a great tool. They've got some good things that are happening, but there's other ways to do it now. You're no longer just have to be reliant fully on what Adobe can do.
I have
Um,
I have said for a long time that Adobe's corporate ego is such that they insisted that they had to be the industry standard, and
yeah,
then when like Getty, Shutterstock, uh, what they were doing was saying, well, our stuff is safe because it's using our approved stock images and everything.
yeah,
But the problem is, I am shocked because what they have done in the past is buy companies if they didn't have the capabilities.
right.
What's shocking me now is they are using Nano Banana and other
Yeah.
programs within their programs, which is totally contrary to what they've said they were doing, and it is out of necessity, you
Oh,
know,
yeah. Well, I
because
think it was
because
a
they can't do
smart
it
step.
all.
Yeah, I think it was a smart step, but I think it's a challenge. And I kind of cover this in the book. You can go with the clean version of Photoshop, where you only use Firefly and your standard tool set of Photoshop. Uh, but the capability and the functionality that you get by adding Gemini and adding ChatGPT and then Nano Banana and the GPT Image 2, and that expands the capability tremendously, especially within a power tool like Photoshop, especially when you're working with Premiere and After Effects. So there's a lot of possibility there with use of these tools when they're spread across. But you're absolutely right, Al. As soon as you integrate what they call dirty Photoshop, where you now are bringing in the other models, it no longer has that same constraint of saying we are a fully clean version because you're not.
Right.
Um, Mark, what's your question, sir?
Actually, it's a follow-up on
Okay.
what Big Al and Guido are touching on. So, I'm thinking about learning Firefly specifically for because of the license training data
Yeah,
aspect. And potentially, when I do want to get into paid work eventually, hopefully later this year, to avoid the objections from lawyers or at least try to get through them, as Big Al was just mentioning. I think that's might become more prominent as people try to do more paid work, any creatives. So I was focused on Firefly. I haven't dove into it yet. I've been
right.
using Photoshop for, I don't know, probably 25 years or something like that. But um, my issue with Firefly images, though, are they're not as inspiring as Midjourney, like I think Guido just mentioned as well. I
Right.
love Midjourney. So I'm trying to figure out how to get through the dilemma, and I was wondering what your thoughts might be. I'm even thinking about getting certification of Firefly to help me get work with the attorneys when they come into play as well, if and
Right.
convince them that okay, we're good, let's move forward. But and I've dealt with attorneys and other previous work in the past that different story. But and my other question is if you can talk about your book some more. Like, are you focused specifically on Firefly as a tool or how to be creative using tools like Firefly and other tools as well?
Yeah, so the book, um, I will actually do a share. And so this is the book, Adobe Firefly Creative Control, the human first guide to Adobe Firefly and generative workflow. The link will take you here and you can get the book for $30. What I've done in here, it's a full breakdown of using Firefly, not just the Adobe Firefly isolated, but Firefly in all of the Adobe Suite platform tools. So you can learn how to work with it within Photoshop, inside of Premiere, also using it in Adobe Express. But it shows you the strengths and weaknesses across those platforms. And also, I integrate the other models inside of here so you can see how it works within the tool. And I'm going to see. So this is the book. You scroll down here. There we go. Uh, I've broken it into modules. So each module, this is based off of the style of Peach Pit Press. I don't know if anybody's old enough to remember working through Peach Pit Press. That was the original Adobe certified instructed course that was available that was for Macromedia and Adobe back in the day. But I followed their style, and so I've broken it into 5 modules. With this, each of these modules is kind of walking through different things. So module 1 is Command Center, and I walk through and explain um, how Adobe is set up as far as how to integrate and work with the different platforms. In each of these, I have a creative brief, so I can actually jump into that and show you real fast. Let's see. So the creative brief literally is here's the challenge, strategic goals, visual guidelines. This is what we're actually going to build. I give you what we're looking to create, and then I walk you through step by step how to do it using the tools. So this is it's meant to be something you can sit to maybe an hour or two per module and get a full deep dive into the platform, understanding how to practically use it. But also, one of the things I really did in this, and I'm going to jump over here to this real fast. This is where I've extracted all my key thoughts that I was trying to convey. And this is what I mean by this. So, like, things that I stated about AI that should help you rethink your use of the tool. So, like, the tool is not the story, you are. I've just kind of gone through how a series creative uses Firefly to ship client ready work faster while protecting taste, identity, and authorship. What I've done is I've tried to say what we're trying to do with this tool, what we're using the tools to accomplish. Some people treat AI like a magic trick, prompt, generate, post, repeat until their work becomes indistinguishable from everyone else's. Why I'm sharing this and kind of pointing this out is what I'm finding is most of the stuff that's out there that teaches you how to do something, it's like, here's the prompt, copy, paste, done. I want to dig deeper and help you understand why you want to prompt the way you do, and then the results you can look for. And if you're not getting those results, here's how to go back and look at the problem and solve it. And so that's how my approach to teaching is. But that book I think would be a huge resource for you if you're wanting to really learn Firefly well. and it actually breaks down what each of the different versions do, version 3, 4, and 5, and why I choose one over the other. And you're right, Mark. Firefly has not been up to snuff when it comes to what you can do in Midjourney per se. It's a different model altogether. But with the capability added in Photoshop's competency, you can do so much more on the editing side than you can with Midjourney. So that's kind of why my approach is: here's the tool, here's how to use it, and then here's how to get the results you're really after, working around it with other tools. So hopefully that can be an asset to you. And while if you guys grab the book and you're working through it and you have a question, you have access to me. Feel free to reach out and ask me any questions, and I'll help you through whatever you're at.
Oh, thank you. And I am gonna get the book because I do want to start getting into Firefly, because I think just for getting professional and getting paid work, I think it's just going to be one of those things, at least for just to get through that objection, if anything. But and I'm not sure if it's just a matter of practice of developing output that clients will be happy with and will align with the brand and their customers and all that. So appreciate that. And then I was wondering what you thought about steps like getting certifications, and whether it's Firefly or perhaps other Adobe products, if they're worthwhile, or if the clients would even care.
I think more and more we're just seeing people that want to see results. And so, a certification doesn't guarantee that you can deliver results. The thing is being able to show what you're doing. And I'll tell you one thing: anybody who works through the book, when you do the work, document your process, how you go about creating a solution, and then be able to show the work behind the work. In other words, here's the finished product, and here's all the steps, the tools that I used, and why I chose those tools. That's going to be hugely valuable to the client you're working with going forward, because they want to see a person that can think with the tools, not that the tool does the thinking for them. That's what really sets us as creatives apart, is when we truly show up as the creative, not letting the tools run the show. Because you can do some really interesting things and have happy accidents and go, oh wow, this looks great, and then say this is what you created. But I'd rather see the thinking on the backside of that got to that solution, that then you can repeat it multiple times in the future with other products. That's where the value lies.
I think that's always been the case, though, Brian.
I do.
It didn't matter to people that I had a master's degree in mass communications and TV production. Right. What mattered was my portfolio. What mattered was my reel. And it's really important to be able to show things. Mark, I was mentioning I'm going to be posting this thing about my retouching, and what I'm showing is before and afters. The reason for doing that is because if I do my retouching well, you don't see that I've done anything, Right. So being able to show a before and after gives people a sense of, wow, this was quite an accomplishment that you were able to do that, Yeah. And because what I've been selling for a long time is what I refer to as difficult photo retouching. When I do a cold call to a client and mention I do retouching, they say, oh, well, we have our staff people that do our retouching for us. And I say a lot of agencies do, but I'm the guy you call when it's the impossible job, the job that your staff is just not capable of doing. So that's what I get. I get the tough jobs, and I have proof that I can do it.
Yeah.
So, if anybody else have any further comment, because we're coming down to the end of the hour. Brian, this has been great. I just want to go over briefly what's coming up on the main event. July 10th, main event 171 is an interview with a New York architect, Jim Keane, and he's an avid sci-fi enthusiast. And so we're going to be looking at his AI sci-fi as well as how he's using AI in his work. July 17th, 172, an interview with Gordon Billinkoff. He's an AI enthusiast and a teacher, and he actually teaches over 1,000 people in India on weekends remotely. July 24th, the main event 173 is an interview with Israel Aleph, part 2. because he was on with us a while back and got as far as talking about what he's doing now. He wants to come back and show the work more than he was able to do. July 31st is the last Friday of the month, episode 174, and we're going to be looking at the results of people accepting the Big Al, Big AI challenge of history. History being either history of your country, some aspect of that, or your personal history. Again, storytelling. I mean, my goal in all, the majority of the challenges that I present are about really learning how to tell a story and communicate with it. And jumping further ahead, August 21st is the only one I've got booked for August, and that is going to be the House of Curiosity team. Carissa, Sabina, Israel, and Inspired Spitfire are all going to be joining us as a team and talking about what they're doing with the House of Curiosity. So that should be a very interesting event, and certainly looking forward to that. Brian, I am so pleased to call you my friend. I am glad that we know each other and that we've been able to communicate like we have for these last now 5 years.
Yeah.
I wish you and Trish well on the trip. I look forward to
Thank you.
watching you. I look forward to watching you on PBS one of these days. And,
Maybe so.
enjoy the whole trip, and do let us know when you get there.
Will do. Will do. Thanks so much for inviting me, and it's been a pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. Always love being with you, Brian. Hit the road, Mac.
Will do. Will do, guys.